Good afternoon, everybody. You join me from Chem class today for your third literacy lesson of the week. Yesterday, I was really impressed with all of your plans for your persuasive adverts, and it was really clear just to see who had watched the video the whole way through. Those plans stood out as well organised, well structured, and really excellent. Great job to all of those children. Now, I am going to show you a few examples of really strong plans today. So if you would like to edit your plans, you can do that before we begin writing. Let's have a look at some exceptional work. First of all, I'd like to start with Ollie's Plan. There were so many original ideas in this piece of work, Ollie, and I particularly loved your ideas for apps. So you included music mode, a glow-in-the-dark feature, and you also had a feature which allowed the rope to vibrate, which I think children would certainly enjoy. As well, for your conclusion, or in your conclusion, your ideas were really original. You included a special offer during half terms and holidays, which allowed adults and parents who we know are our audience to gain 30% off. I really like this idea, Ollie, because we know that we are appealing for parents. We are appealing to parents, sorry, to buy this product. And parents often aren't sure what to do with their children during half terms because there's no school, of course. So by offering them discount during half terms means I think they're more likely to buy the product. And you've also allowed parents to gain free delivery if they purchase from Amazon. So really good and appropriate special offers. Just a couple of things you can see here that I've highlighted in green, and these errors are errors that were made by quite a few children. Music mode is the name of an app or the name of a feature, sorry, so both music and mode need a capital letter. The faster you skip, comma, the more the music goes. Goes is spelled G-O-E-S. And vibrations, the name of feature 3, vibrations, perhaps you could call it vigorous vibrations to make it even more catchy, should also have a capital letter on the V, please. And I can see here Ollie has also just forgotten his S. Every 10 skip, well, there's more than one skips, so it should be every 10 skips. Well done. Great job, Ollie, though. Looking forward to reading your first paragraph today. Eunice, again, a really excellent plan. Referring back to what I said earlier, you can see that Eunice has watched the video in its entirety because the plan is so well laid out and Eunice will be able to follow this really easily today. I highlighted all your features, Eunice, in pink because I really liked how original they were and how that they were completely different from what I had talked about yesterday. So your feature 1 was LED lights, and what does it do? You've clearly explained it. It lights up when the rope is turned on. Feature 2 was count steps. So try and remember to give your features a catchy name. So have a think. What could Eunice call feature 2? We know its job is to count steps. But what could the name of the feature be? Yes, it could be step counter. Or if you want to use alliteration to make it even more catchy and to make it stand out to the reader, you might say clever counter. Or perhaps there's something else that you can come up with. So see if you can edit that, Eunice, to make it even better today. And his feature 3 is an adjustable rope. If you adjust something, you change it. Therefore, an adjustable rope means you can change the length of the rope anytime you want. I also really loved the ideas that children had about using a secret button or to extend the length of the rope. So if you press it once, it extends 1 meter. If you press it twice, it extends 2 meters. So that was also great to see. And in Eunice's conclusion, I've included a little bit of green. Let's have a look and see why. If bought within 24 hours, you can add 2-for-1 deal and 20% off the purchase. What word is Eunice missing there? Have a think. Yes, you could say you can get a 2-for-1 deal, or even better would be you can benefit from a 2 for one deal, or perhaps even you can take advantage of a 2 for 1 deal to make it sound even more appealing than you can get. Great job, Eunice. I love this at the end as well. Terms and conditions apply. And that's a phrase you often see at the end of adverts. Well done. Aretha, what a detailed plan. Fantastic. Again, just like Ollie and Eunice's examples, this is really clearly laid out with a heading and the detail underneath. So Aretha's feature 1 was all to do with music, and you can see she has bullet pointed the details underneath. It will play nursery rhymes or any song of the parent's choice. And I love this part, Aretha. It will make a cheers noise when you are close to the goal. And some of you, or the target, some of you talked about a buzzing noise the skipping rope would make, or a well done noise it would make to really motivate the children when they reach their goals. Feature 2, light up mode, well done. And again, Aretha has given lots of different details. She hasn't just said it will light up or it will glow in the dark. She's provided lots of details that will persuade the reader that this product's feature is one to certainly not miss out on. The rope will light up at any time, also in the dark. It has all the colours of the rainbow, including pink. It can flash too, and it can be bright or it can be changed to more faint if the parent wants that either. And feature 3, Aretha commented on her work on Seesaw that she liked the idea of an app too, but I'd got there just before her. However, Aretha, I'm really pleased that you've included an app, and you've talked about some ideas that I hadn't even thought of. So you've said the app allows the child to change the songs that's played. They can check how many steps they've taken, and it allows parents or carers to set goals for the child. Now, some children in school actually thought of their Fitbit. Finn was providing us with some ideas about the different features of his Fitbit. So you might also, as well as talking about counting steps, your app could provide the parent with an idea of the child's heart rate, so you can see just exactly how hard your child is working. Now, of course, it won't be possible for the app to check how well the child's sleeping because that's not connected to a skipping rope, but think about what else the app might do whilst the child is exercising. Next up, we have Chloe. Another stunning example of work. Well done, Chloe. Really clearly laid out. She's got magical melodies feature at the top and then the detail provided underneath. I really like this feature too, Chloe, that it lights up in different colours. So rainbow pink for girls or dinosaur blue for boys. However, I would just be a little bit careful there because some boys like pink and some girls like blue. So you need to have a think whether or not that feature is limiting. Some parents, it's quite a stereotypical view there that only girls like pink and boys like blue, but that's not the case for all children. Okay, so have a think about that feature. How could you make it so that it's more inclusive? Maybe it will be colour change mode and boys would get the chance to choose from a range of colours, as would girls. And at the end, you've talked about an app. Perhaps I wouldn't call it Magical Melodies app because you've already talked about Magical Melodies at the start. And the word melody makes me think the app plays music or would allow the child to play music. But in actual fact, your app allows the parent to set targets and it provides the children with nice or motivational messages, might be even better. So bearing that in mind, Chloe, I wanted to share a really good example of somebody's work who has really outlined the detail of their app excellently. Dia, you provided great detail on what your app would do. With our upgraded app, parents can set up a score for their child to reach, or a target perhaps. Each time they reach that score, they earn rewards. So perhaps, Chloe, you might include some of those ideas in your app feature. But really well done, an excellent piece of work and beautifully presented too. Now, Before we start thinking about today's paragraph, I want to draw your attention to the conclusion. On the board, you'll see that I have chosen 2 special offers. Now, I have to say, I chose these 2 special offers from 2 children who also produced fantastic plans. That was Harry in Sheffield and Lean in Oxford. You 2 clearly followed my advice, and I'm really looking forward to seeing your work today. However, I want you to think, why do I think Harry and Lean's special offers might not be suitable? So Harry says, if you buy it in the next 24 hours, well, I think, Harry, you've said if you become it, well, it might be quite hard to become a skipping rope. I think you mean if you buy it in the next 24 hours, you have a choice of any prize in the following 3 options. A PS5, AirPods, or brand new iPhone 12. So get buying. And Lean said, buy 3, get 2 free. Now, if you're still listening at this point, well done, because today's secret word is slide. You will be asked for that secret word later on in a poll, so please keep it to yourself. The word is slide. And back to the video. Why are Harry and Lean's offers, and Lean said buy 3, get 2 free. Why are Harry and Lean's offers probably not the most suitable? Have a think. Yes, I agree with you. They're not suitable for our audience. Parents are our audience, and we want parents to buy for their children. Now, if parents are buying a product, a skipping rope, because they want their child to do more exercise, are they going to be attracted by a gift like a PS5 or an iPhone 12, which will have exactly the opposite effect? I'm not sure parents would want to give their children give their child another device if they're actively looking for a product that would get their child outside and doing more exercise. So bear in mind, AirPods might work. However, bear in mind the parents we're appealing to are not parents of a teenager. The parents we're appealing to are parents of a 6, 7, 8 or 9-year-old. So your gifts are probably a little bit inappropriate. So perhaps you could have a think about that, because the rest of your advert is super. And Lean, you've said buy 3, get 2 free. But what about if the parent only has 1 child? Do we think they want 5 skipping ropes in the house? Because they might end up tripping over them all. So I think buy 3, get 2 free, Lean, might be a little bit ambitious. I don't think any parent would want 3 unless they have 3 children. And if they do have 3 children, they're probably thinking they can just share the skipping rope rather than me spending all of my money. So perhaps buy 1 and get something free. But as I spoke about in yesterday's plan, the gift that you give free has to be connected to the skipping rope. So really have a think about that. Or you might do a 20% off offer like we've seen, or like we saw another child mention earlier. Now, let's move on to today's paragraph. We are going to begin writing our promotional material. Before we do that, we're going to summarise 2 really important things that we need to remember. Tone. We are going to be writing in a really informal tone, a really chatty style to grab the attention of the reader and to make it seem like we're having a conversation with them. Purpose. The purpose of our advert is to persuade our audience, my turn, persuade the audience to buy the Skip Max 200. That's exactly what we want to do. Persuade them to buy the Skip Max 200. And finally, audience. We know that we are writing to our audience who are parents. So our audience are adults. So we're writing really informally to them in a chatty, conversational style, using everyday language that they'll be able to read easily. And we're hoping to persuade them to buy the Skip Max 200 for their child. Now, before we have a go at writing our introduction, let's have a look at some of the features we're going to include. We might include an opening statement, which will start with some imperatives. So, for example, look right here, calling all parents who wish to give their child a great start in life. Look right here. Or calling all parents. In fact, I would probably change that, because a skipping rope wouldn't necessarily give you a great start in life, but you might say a healthy start in life. And then we're going to try and hook the reader, grab them in with our rhetorical questions before introducing the product and giving one generic overview of its benefit, or one benefit of the product, perhaps. So we're going to work on that in our introduction today. And now I'm going to share my model with you before you have a go at yours.
As I mentioned to you earlier, our objective today is to use rhetorical questions to develop persuasive force in the introduction of our persuasive advert. Have a think. Why is it really important to be persuasive at the beginning of our advert? Yes, you're correct. If we don't employ persuasive techniques, such as rhetorical questions at the beginning of our advert, then our reader won't be enticed or encouraged to read on. They might not necessarily think that the Skip Max 2000 is the product they are after, and that's not what we're looking for at all. Please pause the video now then if you don't have today's date and what written out like this. Great, we're now ready to start. And before I begin writing, I wanted to say just how impressed I've been with the exceptional presentation and handwriting so far, so please keep that up. Now, before I start writing some rhetorical questions, I'm going to begin with an imperative. And an imperative is a direction or an instruction. And I want to use an imperative to address my audience, because actually I don't want everyone necessarily to read my advertisement. I want to make it really specific who my audience are. There are so many advertisements in shop windows and in catalogues now, and unless we make it specific who our audience are, then this one might get missed. So let's have a look at how I've included an imperative. I've said, calling all parents of school-aged children, or you could also say, attention all parents of school-aged children, because that's exactly who I want to read my advertisement. And the reason I've written school-aged children here is because, well, for example, I'm not sure my parents would want to read an advertisement about a Skip Max 2000 because I'm a little bit old to use a skipping rope. So we want to be really specific in our imperative. Now, step number 2 is to include some rhetorical questions. We need rhetorical questions in our writing to hook the reader and to grab their attention. We know that rhetorical questions won't necessarily have an answer, but they should get the reader thinking, oh yes, this applies to me. So, yesterday in our introduction, we talked about the reasons why somebody might decide to buy a Skip Max for their child. For fun, for exercise, to keep them away from devices during lockdown, or even to give them something to do that's healthy. So therefore, my rhetorical questions need to revolve around those ideas. And I know that the most powerful rhetorical questions are written repetitively in groups of 2 or 3 to make the message even more forceful and persuasive. So in brackets, I'm going to write 2 or 3. And I know that my rhetorical questions must link around my theme. And the main reason I think, in my opinion, that a parent might want to buy or might be persuaded to buy a Skip Max 2000 at the moment is because they think their child has nothing much to do during lockdown aside from look at their devices and look at their screens. So I'm going to put the prompt here, lockdown, to support my question. To support my questions. Lockdown distraction. So now I need to think of a question, or now I need to think of something parents are worried about at the moment and form it into a question. That way, hopefully I can relate to them and get them thinking, oh yes, that is me. So I know a lot of parents at the minute, well, they're trying to do work and their kids are trying to get onto the devices as well, and they're a bit worried about the amount of screen time their children are having, and they don't know what to suggest. They don't know what to suggest otherwise. So I'm going to start by saying, are your little ones driving you up the wall? During lockdown? Question mark. Driving you up the wall means annoying you. It's a really informal but almost humorous way of saying annoying you, or maybe not annoying you, bothering you, or sort of getting in your way. And I've decided to include that because I know lots of parents are struggling with younger children at home. They are enjoying it, of course, but sometimes children get bored a little bit easily if they don't have much to do. And the reason why I've said little ones is because in my introduction, I've used the word children, or in my imperative at the beginning. So I want to make sure that I am varying the words I use throughout. So next time I'll try to use something different. And I really want to see if you can focus on using synonyms for children throughout this. So let's read back what we've written so far. Calling all parents of school-aged children. Are your little ones driving you up the wall during lockdown? Question mark. Now I'm going to back that up and support it with another rhetorical question. Already I think they'll be thinking, oh yes, a little bit. I'm going to say, what else do parents not like children doing during this period at home? Well, probably being on their devices too much. So I'm going to say, do you despair? Despair means, do you sigh, almost like, oh, not again. Do you despair every time? Every time you see them grab another device, or you see them, I'm actually going to say, you see them with their eyes glued to, make it really informal and chatty tone, see them with their eyes glued to another device. Question mark again. Make sure you don't forget your question marks with your rhetorical questions. So let's have a check. Do you despair? In fact, I'm going to read them both together to see do they work and to see do they have force. Are your little ones driving you up the wall during lockdown? Do you despair every time you see them with their eyes? Oh, that's not correct. Because the eyes belong to them. Tell me, how should there be spelled in this sentence? Their eyes. That's correct. It's T-H-E-I-R. That there indicates possession. Do you despair every time you see them with their eyes glued to another device? Question mark. And I think I need one more. I know 2 or 3 would work, but usually you would have 2 negatives and then one that can help them look forward to our product a little bit. So I've started with are you, I've started with do you, and now I'm going to start with would you like, so that I'm starting with another varied sentence opener. So now I'm going to say, would you like something? And I'm going to try and make this one a little bit more positive. Otherwise, by the time parents have read this one, they'll be thinking there's nothing I can help them with. They'll be starting to feel sorry for themselves and they'll think, yes, that is me. My kids are driving me up the wall and their eyes are always glued to a screen. Now I need to hint to them that a great product is coming. So I'm going to say, would you like something? Would you like something that could get them outside? That way, they'll not be driving them up the wall inside. That could get them outside and keep them fit at the same time. At the same time. And then it's at this point here that I would introduce my product. So hopefully at the end of those 3 rhetorical questions, I can see each one of them is only correct because it has a question mark at the end. At the end of those 3 rhetorical questions, I, the reader, your audience, those parents, are hopefully going to answer yes. I've chosen questions that I think a lot of parents are thinking about, or that I think relate to a lot of parents at the moment. Are your little ones driving you up the wall during lockdown? Do you despair every time you see them with their eyes glued to another device? Would you like something that could get them outside and keep them fit at the same time? Well, look no further. The Skip Max 2000 is your new best friend. And then you will finish with a direct address. Now, let's have a go at writing a couple more rhetorical questions just so that you get practice. So I've written these 3 and now I'm going to change colour and I'm going to write 3 more that I think would work. And hopefully this will inspire you to come up with ideas of your own. So this time I'm going to go with the idea that the parents are worried that their child isn't getting much exercise. So first of all, I'm going to write a question that I think relates to their worries. And I'm going to say, are you worried? Or do you spend all day worrying? Are you worried, that your child, Y-O-U-R, because the child belongs to the parents. Are you worried that your child isn't? Hopefully I can make that straight for you so you can see it. Voila! That your child isn't getting enough exercise. Now I'm going to continue on with a question that also is phrased a little bit negatively. Isn't getting enough exercise. Do you constantly have to tell them to get off the sofa, or do you struggle to think of things? I'm going to actually say, do you struggle to think of things? I could say here that would keep them fit, or that would get them busy, that would keep them busy. Because again, I know that's something a lot of parents are concerned about at the moment. Children are usually in school all day, and at the moment they're at home, and parents want to make sure they're busy all of the time so that they can continue to exercise and keep a healthy mind and body. So let me read back the 2 I've written so far, and then I'm going to try and phrase a more positive one that's linked to the benefits of my product. Are you worried that your child isn't getting enough exercise? Do you struggle to think of things that would keep them busy? Or do you struggle to think of things that keep them busy even? And more positively, I'm going to say, would you like something? Would you like something that will wear them out? That means tire them out, wear them out, and keep them busy for hours upon end. The phrase hours upon end, again, keep them busy for hours upon end, is really informal. Remember, it's a really chatty tone. Question mark. Now I'm going to read back these questions because I can see I've repeated the phrase keep them busy twice, and I want to avoid repetition as much as possible, so I'm going to see if anything else would work. Do you struggle to think of things that keep them busy? Would you like something that will wear them out and keep them busy for hours and upon end? So instead of keep them busy here, I might say, do you struggle to think of things that they enjoy doing, perhaps? Or, so I could say they enjoy doing. Or do you struggle to think of things that aren't screen related, perhaps, instead of repeating keep them busy all of the time? Okay, and here, if you wanted to keep them busy in here, you could change this to, would you like something that will wear them out and allow them to have lots of fun for hours upon end, or and give them lots of fun for hours upon end? Now, this is the final part. After you've written those questions, and if you've written 3 really effective questions, then I should read your work and think, yes, brilliant. The last bit, and we saw this with our diary, we practiced this, in our diary entries, is a direct address to you, the reader. So I'm going to go for, in my direct address, if this sounds like you, and already the parents are probably thinking, oh, that does sound like me, because you've thought of questions that are really related to common parental problems at the minute, and common thoughts parents might have when buying a skipping rope, or common reasons parents might buy a skipping rope for. If this sounds like you, or I could say if this rings a bell. So if this sounds like you, that's a subordinating clause. It doesn't make sense by itself, so we need to add a comma here and then add the main clause, which is going to be then the Skip Max 2000. I need a capital letter for the name of the product. The Skip Max 2000 is the perfect product. If the perfect is the perfect product for you. Now I can see here that I've repeated for you, and I want to be really careful to avoid repetition. I've repeated you there, so I'm going to take away like you, and I'm going to say if this sounds familiar. Or another way of ending that could be if this rings a bell. Comma, then the Skip Max, in fact here I've noticed I haven't given the Skip Max a capital T, and I must do that because it's the name of the product. Then the Skip Max 2000, perhaps you could say, has come to your rescue, something really informal. Or is your new best friend, I'm going to go for. Or is the product you've been waiting for. Is your new best friend. I'm going to underline that really informal tone in pink there. Or if you didn't want to start with a subordinating tone, or a subordinating clause, sorry, you could start with an imperative. Well, look no further. Look no further is a command. It makes sense by itself, so you can't use a comma there, you'd have to use a colon or a dash. Well, look no further. The Skip Max 2000 is the product for you. The Skip Max 2000, or I'm going to say actually for this one, is just what you need. Right, there's lots in this introduction, and if you have watched this video right up until this point, then I am confident you will have done a great job. Now, the second secret word today is, and there was one earlier, the second secret word today is dinosaur. So your teachers will be asking you for those secret words in the correct order later on. So make sure you remember those so we can really see who is watching the videos and showing all of our Arise values, including effort and integrity. Fantastic. Now, let's look back at my plan and remind you of what structure yours should take. Or sorry, not my plan, my model. So we begin with the imperative. Attention all parents, or calling all parents of school-aged children. And then 3 rhetorical questions. Now I've written 2 sets of 3, so 6 altogether, but you don't need to write 6. I just wanted to give you lots of ideas. I think my first set are probably the ones that I prefer, but I think both work. Calling all parents of school-age children. Are your little ones driving you up the wall during lockdown? Do you despair every time you see them with their eyes glued to another device? Would you like something that could get them outside and keep them fit at the same time? Well, look no further. The Skip Max 2000 is just what you need. And now I'll read my other version. Attention all parents of school-age children. Are you worried that your child isn't getting enough exercise? Do you struggle to think of things that they enjoy doing? Would you like something that will wear them out and keep them busy for hours upon end? If this rings a bell, or if this sounds familiar, then the Skip Max 2000 is the perfect product for you. Now, reading this back, the only change I would make is here I've said child, and here I've referred to children as they and them, which is a little bit impersonal. So if you've said child, here for example, are you worried that your child isn't getting enough exercise? Do you struggle to think of things that, I'm going to change this to, your little angels or your little darlings? Your little darlings enjoy doing. Because that shows the reader that me, as the writer, has the child's best interests at heart. And that will also persuade the parents. The parents will think, goodness, we're really, talking affectionately about children. We must really be thinking of how this product will benefit children. So be really careful with your language choices for children too. Okay, really excited to see these introductions, children. Don't forget your question marks at the end of your rhetorical questions, and make sure you upload onto Seesaw as soon as you have finished. Well done for listening right until the end, and hopefully you will have remembered those secret words as well. Have a great rest of the day, everybody, and talk to you later. Bye.